final day of the I-70 series, and it feels like Missouri in the summer. So grab some sunscreen, drink your fluids, find some shade. The Royals and the Cardinals at Kauffman Stadium. And it's also the final day of the Home Run Challenge. In the 2 weeks, 99 home runs have been hit, raising over $1.8 billion. And today, every home run is worth $18,000 to go towards prostate cancer research. And welcome inside Kauffman Stadium. I'm Ryan Lefebvre with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White. We are on top of Rivals Sports Bar. We're also wearing our blue wristbands, and the players will be wearing wristbands as well today for further awareness towards prostate cancer research. It's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you, a father and a grandfather.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it.
And I know that if not for Frank White Sr., there might not be a Frank White Jr. bronze statue in the outfield here.
Well, that's true, Ryan. This is always a special day to me. My dad was real special. He was the one that taught me baseball, and he pitched to us as kids. He followed me through Little League, through high school, and on through my professional career. And he was sick his last couple of years, and before he passed, what really made me feel special was for him to be there that day to unveil that statue. Just watching him pull that sheet off that statue, I mean, that's something I'll always take with me.
My dad today is the hitting coach of the San Diego Padres, and he's trying to figure out how to beat the Oakland A's. So,
well, you said happy Father's Day to you for him too.
That's right, that's right. And even though there'll be a big crowd here today, the Royals are not only trying to impress the crowd, they'll be thinking about their fathers as well.
Growing up around the game was huge influence on my life, and it's helped me get to where I am today. And Father's Day is always great, you know. Just you take it for granted a lot of times, so it's easy to forget that. And so when you get a chance to bring it up, it's even more special.
Well, obviously they're still a little too young to realize what's going on and stuff, but you know, it's still fun obviously to wake up with them and play with them, and you know, I'm a father. I'm actually a father now, so that's kind of crazy in itself, you know.
Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. So, you know, my dad was obviously very instrumental in teaching me the game of baseball and just being there and always being accessible for me to, you know, hit me ground balls and pitch to me and all that stuff. So,
in Royals history, there have been 3 father-son combinations. Frank played with all 3 fathers, and he remembers all 3 kids long before they were big leaguers.
Well, it was easy to remember these guys because they were all running around the field every day. Back in those days, the dads brought the kids to the ballpark, and they really got that baseball feel. And it was really neat to see Brian get drafted and eventually play for his dad. And I'll never forget when Dusty came up and watching Dusty get his first Major League base hit. Now, that was pretty awesome, too. And Floyd got traded over here from the White Sox. I was able to play with him, and now I'm able to watch his son, Brian, pitch.
Gil Mesh, a father of 3, will take the mound today for the Royals, coming off a shutout against the Diamondbacks. We'll talk more about him when we come back. Royals baseball brought to you today by Panera Bread. Explore a menu full of hearty soups, hand-tossed salads, inventive sandwiches, and savory breakfast items. Panera Bread, where every detail matters. And by Thoroughbred Ford. Want a great deal on a new F-150? At Thoroughbred Ford, we'll make it happen. Royals hoping to avoid the sweep today. The series began, Frank, with a Royals blowout, and it also cost Kyle Davies his spot on the Major League roster.
Well, that's true, Ryan, and when you look at this level, it's all about production, and when your team is not playing well and the production's not there, then sooner or later moves are going to have to be made. And with the off day coming up tomorrow, that move happened to be with Kyle Davies.
So Robinson Tejeda is up. Gil Mesh goes to the mound today. Here's the Kia pitching report.
Well, with Gil, 132 pitchers is not going to play well today, so he's got to be pitch efficient on the mound today. He's going to have to induce a lot of early contact and get on and off the field.
Hoping for some run support, here's the M&I Bank starting lineup for the Royals, and Trey Hillman's been pretty consistent the last 2 weeks with the top 5 portion of the batting order. And speaking of fathers and sons, Tug Hewlett gets his first start for the Royals today, the son of former Major Leaguer Tim Hewlett. And the Royals, once again, will be trying to figure out what to do with Albert Pujols. A 2-run single in the game on Friday, a 2-run home run yesterday afternoon, and he absolutely owns the Royals at Kauffman Stadium. We'll see what happens. The first Royals baseball brought to you in high definition today by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. Here's Tony La Russa. His team comes in today in first place after winning the first 2 games of this series. They have a half-game lead over the Brewers in the National League Central. And their lineup presented by M&I Bank, and Albert Pujols kind of getting half the day off today. He'll be the designated hitter. Pujols with 4 RBIs in the first 2 games of this series. And Gil Mesh making his first start against the Cardinals this year. Did not face them in St. Louis last month. And he throws ball 1 to Skip Schumacher. Gil, of course, coming off that shutout on Tuesday against Arizona, where he threw 132 pitches. And as Frank talked about at the top of the broadcast, the Royals will be mindful of that. Plus, you have the heat and humidity today.
Well, that's what you have to worry about more, Ryan, is dehydration and getting on and off the field. And you start getting a high pitch count, then you're not going to last very long on a day like today.
Two and 1 to Schumacher. 4 hits in the series, 3 runs scored. He has hit in 5 straight games. And it's 2-2. Gil has faced the Cardinals twice before today. Only 1 decision, a win, and a pretty good ERA, 3.86. And today he needs to be the stopper, as in stop this 4-game losing streak. As Schumacher strokes it into right center field. Meyer over to cut it off, and Schumacher on his way to second base with a game-opening double. Let's go down to the field and check in with Joel Goldberg.
Well, guys, there's been so much talk about those 132 pitches by Gil Mesh. It was the 6th time in his career that he's gone 125 or more. In the other 5 times, his next start out, one was at the end of the year. The other 4 times, his team was 4-0. His record, 3-0 with a 2.88 ERA. He has done well following a heavy pitch load. Trey Hillman saying the only concern today, the heat, and just watching his lower half with these weather conditions out here, guys.
All right, thanks, Joel, as Colby Rasmus steps in, and he lays down a bunt. Gil looks to third, didn't get him. Schumacher may have been injured on the play. May have been on the tag from Tien. First and third, nobody out.
Well, managers always say, Ryan, on a bunt play, you just got to make sure you get 1 out. And you just got to make sure you can get that out. Right here, Tien was really had a bad approach to making this play. He should have been back with the bag in between his feet and able to make a tag. He kind of got caught in the middle right there. What probably happened there, he could have, you know, when you go head first, you got to make sure you keep those fingers up, and he could have had those fingers down and got him popped a little bit. Possibly, like I've done before, slid into third base and actually got my hand stepped on. So that's what it looks like right there. He just got his foot right down on top of it.
So it's a sacrifice for Rasmus, reaching on a fielder's choice. And right away, the Royals need to make a decision with Albert Pujols. Miguel Olivo going through the signs in the event there's a double steal, although you don't expect a double steal with Pujols at the plate.
No, I think he's going to hit away, and right now Tony La Russa's got Trey Hillman where he wants him. If he steals here, then he has an option of walking him here. He's got to kind of pitch to him and hope he makes a mistake.
Strike on the outside. 2 hits for Pujols, 2 out of 7, but both of those hits produced 2 runs. 2-run single on Friday night, 2-run home run yesterday afternoon.
Well, his bat stays in the hitting area a long time. You've seen him take pitches on the outside part of the plate and pull them, so he has great plate coverage.
During the last series with the Diamondbacks in town, we were talking about how strong a couple of the pitchers' legs were. Doug Davis and Dan Herron, the way they hang their legs in the air. How about Pujols, the strength his legs need to have to be able to bat out of that crouch?
Well, he's got great balance at the plate, and he's able to let the ball travel a lot, and he uses his hands really well.
Deep short, Bloomquist to second, safe, back to first, safe. And the Cardinals have taken a 1-0 lead. So Pujols drives in his 63rd of the year and his 5th of the series.
Well, Willie did all he can do right here, Ryan. He went over and made a great backhand stop, and the only play he has is the second base. But the biggest thing there was the runner hustling down from first base made that a great play for Pujols. Gave Pujols a base hit and an RBI.
So a run home and 2 on with nobody out for Ryan Ludwig, who had a grand slam on Friday night. Didn't mean to make contact. It's 0-1. We apologize. At the moment, our Fox box, as we call it, which is normally in the upper left-hand portion of your screen, which will give you the score and the count, is down. So rather than try and write it in after every pitch, we'll go into a little bit of radio mode here, Frank, and remind the folks of the count and the score.
Well, we can do that. At least you can do that.
A little bit outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, we saw the decisions that come up with Albert Pujols in the lineup on Friday. Royals pitched to him. Pujols, 2-run single, pitched around him in the 3rd inning, and then Ludwig hit the grand slam. Guillen comes way in. It's under his glove, and everyone's just going to move up 1 base. And now the throw gets away from Billy Butler as it comes back to the infield. The Cardinals got a solid double from Schumacher to open the game, but now some bunts and some singles that are just finding the open areas.
Well, right now the Cardinals are killing the Royals softly. I mean, they're just dumping balls in between them, hitting the questionable balls in the hole. They're pretty much doing whatever they need to do to keep this inning alive, but they really aren't hitting the ball that well. They just dumping it in the good spots on the field.
So what you're saying is the Royals are going, or the Cardinals are going Roberta Flack on the Royals?
Close.
Okay. So now they're loaded up for Chris Duncan. No balls, 1 strike. Duncan just 1 out of 8 in this weekend series with a run scored. So 1-0 Cardinals in the top of the 1st inning, nobody out, and the Cardinals have already scored more runs, 3 batters into it, than the Diamondbacks did in 9 innings on Tuesday. Duncan lifts it into deep left center field. Back goes Meyer at the wall with a great catch. The Cardinals get another run, but Mitch Meyer may have saved 2.
I don't think plays get any better than this in the outfield, and what Mitch Meyer just showed us right here. I mean, he tracks the ball, looks at the wall, and knows exactly where he's at, and just makes an outstanding play. And the wall gave a little bit, which threw him to the ground. But I tell you what, you won't see a finer play in center field than what you saw right here.
And that's how the Royals get the 1st out of the inning. So 2-0 St. Louis. Pujols at 3rd, Ludwig at 1st. And the batter is Yadier Molina, who has 4 hits and has driven in a run. Cardinals on Friday at one point had a 10-1 lead. The final was 10-5. Yesterday, their biggest lead until the 9th was 3-0. Royals made it 3-1 in the bottom of the 8th, and the Cardinals scored 4 in the 9th. 3-run home run from Khalil Green against John Bale. So they have been leading all weekend. And Molina to Bloomquist. And the Royals end the 1st inning with a double play, but the Cardinals come up with 2 with RBIs from Pujols and Duncan. Happy Father's Day. The Cardinals scoring 2 against Gil Mesh in the top of the 1st inning. on a warm, windy, muggy day in Kansas City. It's 91 degrees right now. Could get up to about 95. Game started on time at 1:10. And the time and temp presented by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. And the Royals facing 27-year-old right-hander Adam Wainwright. Here's the Kia scouting report.
Well, Ryan, he eats up innings 6 or more of his 12 starts. He's gone 6 innings, and 6 out of the last 7, he's been at least 7 innings. So the Royals have got the work cut out for him tonight because he hasn't given up a lot of runs in that time also.
It'll be DeJesus, Bloomquist, and Butler in the bottom of the first. Cardinals have pitched David Wells so far. 1 hit, 1 walk. His hit on Friday night was a home run against Brad Thompson in the bottom of the first. 1-1 the count. Cardinals have pitched David well all year. Going back to the series in St. Louis, David just 2 out of 18. Two balls, 1 strike. Like Mesh, Wainwright is coming off a win Tuesday. That was against the Tigers. David into left field. That's a base hit. So back come the Royals in the bottom of the first inning, and Willie Bloomquist to the plate. Well, you're hearing a lot of wind, I'm sure, back home, and that's because we're on top of Rival Sports Bar in right field, the Bud Light party deck, and it is some kind of windy up here.
Well, we have a lot of paperweights going. We got binoculars and pencil holders and water bottles and everything holding paper down up here, but it's an outstanding view of the game. I really like it.
Really had an excellent view of the play that Mitch Meyer made on the drive off the bat of Duncan in the top of the first. And now Bloomquist showing bunt and taking ball 1. At the end of the Arizona series, we were down on the Pepsi party porch, not to be confused with the Bud Light party deck, which we felt like we were really into the game but didn't quite have the beautiful view of the ballpark like we do today. This is a great spot, one of the new additions at New Kauffman Stadium. Ludwig into foul ground, but it's into the seats, and it's 1-1 on Bloomquist. So here's the view that we have from the party deck. And another big crowd. Friday night, 37,600. And yesterday afternoon, after a 1 hour, 30-minute rain delay, almost 39,000 watched the Royals and the Cardinals. I want to apologize again that our score box isn't working in the upper left-hand portion of the screen, which would be right there. We'll give you the score and the count and the outs. 2-0 Cardinals. And the count is 1-2 on Willie Bloomquist. David DeJesus opening the inning with a single. Willie has hit in 8 straight games, extended that yesterday with a base hit in the bottom of the 8th inning, getting the Royals on the board for the first time, making it a 3-1 game. The Royals eventually had the bases loaded, but Mike Jacobs flied to center against Ryan Franklin. And a slow curveball is lifted to shallow center field, and it's caught on a diving play by Rasmus. So 2 great plays in center field in just the first inning today.
Well, this is what speed does for you, Ryan. You have good closing speed, and you want to take away those intermediate balls, and their outfield plays a lot shallower than the Royals outfield, and that's why they're able to take those hits away like that.
There is some irony to that play. You might remember a Sunday afternoon in St. Louis earlier this year. Rasmus was in center. Willie Bloomquist was at the plate. Looked like he had a harmless ground ball into center field. Rasmus was slow to get to it. Willie turned it into a double in the 7th inning and eventually scored the go-ahead run. It's 0-1 on Billy Butler, who has one hit this weekend. It was a home run on Friday night, an impressive home run to straightaway center field.
Well, you know, when you make a play like that, you're a young player just coming into the major leagues, I'm sure that you subconsciously you kind of take a few things for granted. But with on a Tony La Russa team, you make a mistake like that, and I'm sure he'd let him know about it.
Don't normally make mistakes like that twice, do you?
No, not with Tony La Russa, you don't.
Butler facing Wainwright for the first time. This is Wainwright's 6th appearance against the Royals, 3rd start. And he's pitched well against KC, 1 win, 1 loss, 2.75 ERA. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes on Butler. Wainwright, a former first-round pick of the Atlanta Braves in 2000. He's from Georgia, born in Brunswick, which is about 5 hours from Atlanta, but he was a huge Braves fan. Billy into deep left center field. Rasmus again. This time it's over his head. DeJesus to third base, and he's going to hold there. Butler with a double, and runners at second and third, 1 out.
Well, you see where the pitch is here, Ryan. The big hanging curveball, and Billy stayed with it, stayed right on the inner half. Now David on first base, a lot of times you tell that guy on first base, you got to go around second base and then watch and see the outfielder gain on the ball. The closer he gets to the ball, the more you move back toward first base. But if you get around second base on that ball, maybe a couple steps, you got a better chance to score.
And now Mike Jacobs. And he's after the first pitch and drills it into the seats off to the right field side.
And we talked about the shallow outfield, and that's the one ball that can hurt you on the shallow outfield. You take away a lot of the in-between balls, but you got to be able to get back there and catch the ones over your head. That one hit just barely on the track right there. And I'm sure Kobe, if he's back further, that's probably more of a routine play for him.
Jacobs hitless in the series. 0 for 7 with a walk. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2-0 Cardinals, bottom of the first inning. There's the Wainwright big slow curveball, and he's ahead 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, we saw a good slow curveball from Wainwright to Jacobs, but if you don't put that pitch in the right spot, then Billy Butler does what he did.
That's right. When it hangs in on the inner half of the plate, then it's asking to be hit. Now, mainly it's a pitch you want to get away a little bit and force the hitter to reach out a little bit more for it and possibly roll over on it.
And takes a fastball for a strike. Jacobs doesn't like the call. Paul Nart is the home plate umpire. And that looked like one of those fastballs that started inside. Jacobs gave up on it, may have hit the corner.
Well, that's the key right there. You know, Mike really on that ball, they throw it right on the belt. He kind of gives up on it, and the root moves back out over the plate. But with 2 strikes, you just can't take a pitch that close with 2 strikes. You got to try to foul that ball off and hope that Wainwright will come back on the next pitch and make a mistake for you.
So second and third now for Jose Guillen. A little bit inside from Wainwright. The Royals had a scoring opportunity early in the game yesterday. Mark Teahan opened the inning with a triple against Chris Carpenter, but the Royals couldn't get him home. And situational hitting has been a thorn in the Royals' side all season. DeJesus at third, Butler at second, and it's 2-0 on Guillen. Guillen 1 for 8. He has not driven in a run yet in the series.
Well, he's one guy in the lineup, Ryan, that's got to drive in runs. If Ed Miller DeOrder don't drive in runs for the Royals, they're just not going to do well in the win column, because that's where your production is, right in the center of your lineup.
Breaking ball for a strike, 2-1 on Guillen. just a little bit under 300 in this most clutch of hitting situations. Runners in scoring position and 2 out. Got him to chase a slider down and away. It's 2-2. So Wainwright, a first-round pick of the Cardinals, or of the Braves rather, got to the Cardinals in a trade for J.D. Drew, and he was the Cardinal closer when they won the World Series in 2006.
Well, you can see, Ryan, that breaking ball, that hard breaking ball, that first one was not even on the plate, but that one he left up, and Jose was able to take advantage.
Yes, he does, and ties the game and down to second base. The Royals come right back in the bottom of the first inning. It's 2-2.
Well, I said earlier, the pitch before, it was down outside the box, and he swung at that one, but he left this one up, and Jose made the adjustment and hit the ball into right field. Plus, he did a great job of hustling after he hit the ball.
Well, there's no such thing as a situation that isn't big when you come back to tie the game. But for the Royals today, with the Cardinals coming out in the top of the first and getting 2 the way they've scored 17 runs in the first 2 games, that would have been a big downer if the Royals didn't answer in the bottom of the first.
Well, that's one of those here we go again kind of things, you know, and that can really get into the mindset of the player.
And now Tien into right field. Guillen is going to be waved home, and Ludwig's throw is offline. Tien puts the Royals in front, 3-2 in the first.
Mark just takes a fastball and pulls it in the hole, Ryan, and Jose Guillen is really legging it from second base, and Ludwig throws up the line to third base a little bit, which helped Jose Guillen, but he was giving it all he had on this play. Now this is a slide that says I've got to get there right there. Normally you don't see a guy slide head first at home plate, but he had successfully gotten around Molina, and he said, okay, I got the plate, so here we go.
You know, Tien drives in his 24th of the year. And that brings up Miguel Olivo, who takes the first pitch for a strike. Two doubles and a home run against the Cardinals this weekend. And is tied with Mike Jacobs for the team lead with 10 home runs. 3-2 Royals, bottom of the first. Tien at first with 2 down. Royals getting 3 runs with 2 outs. Jose Guillen driving into Jesus and Butler, and then Tien getting Guillen to the plate, which underlines the importance of Guillen moving up to second on the throw home, putting him in scoring position. It's 0-2 on Olivo. So Gil Mesh sitting down in the bottom of the first inning, down 2-0. And will take the mound in the top of the second with the lead. Tien with 3 stolen bases this year. He has not been thrown out.
On these hot 90-degree Sunday afternoons, Ryan, what becomes big on these days is time on defense, and you don't want to be on defense too long on days like today.
Olivo down on strikes. Wainwright strikes out 2, but he gives up 3 runs. Jose Guillen driving in 2 with 2 outs, and Mark Tien following with this RBI to put the Royals in front by 1. Mark Tien putting the Royals in front in a 3-run bottom of the first inning. Don't forget about Royal Nights this year. $5 upper level seats. Monday games except for September the 21st, and it features view level infield, high V box, and high V view level seats for just $5. And the next one is coming up on Monday, June the 29th, with the Minnesota Twins here. So Gil Mesh giving up 2 in the top of the first, but now has a 1-run lead. He'll get Rick Ankiel, Khalil Green, and Tyler Green. One ball, one strike. Ankiel homered in that 3-home run third inning on Friday when the Cardinals scored 6. Left field for David DeJesus. One down in the second inning. And now Khalil Green. Well, Frank, we did spend some time in the first inning talking about Gil economizing his pitches because of the last time out in the heat, but you brought up a good point, not just for him, but for his defense.
Yeah, you're on defense, it takes a lot out of your legs, and that's why it's really important to get on and off the field as fast as possible. You don't want to give any extra outs, and you don't want to work a lot of deep counts because you guys start standing around and the legs get a little lazy.
0-2 on Khalil Green, who's homered twice. Put the game out of reach yesterday with a 3-run home run at the top of the 9th inning. He's only been back from the DL, sorry Frank, for 3 games, and he has 2 home runs.
Now, I was going to say, Ryan, when we had all turf out here, we used to really hope for opportunities and run in there and stand on the dirt part of it, because they got pretty hot when you're standing out there.
And you guys would what, stand in buckets of ice?
They had ice
go back
trays.
to the dugout?
Yeah, they had ice trays lined up along the tunnel there, and I would leave a pair of shoes inside the door.
DeJesus back, and Green goes deep again. So the Cardinals have tied the game at 3. Green with his 5th home run of the season, and 3 of those coming in the last 4 games.
Well, whatever he's got the Ross number. It's the big curveball from Gil that stayed on the inner half, and he was just sitting there waiting on it. And like you said earlier, Ryan, when those big curveballs don't do what they're supposed to do, they get hit, and that one just stayed right in the hitting zone, and Khalil Green was able to get it and get it down the line for a home run.
That home run is worth $18,000 for prostate cancer research. The home run challenge, which finishes today on Father's Day. That's how you can donate. 2-1 on Tyler Green. So trays of ice in the dugout.
Well, we had an air-conditioned clubhouse, one of the few perks that we did have. So being a little facetious right there, seeing how things are today. But I would leave a pair of shoes inside and I would change every 2 innings. And so you had to just come up with ways to keep your feet cool.
Ian in right field, and retires Tyler Green for the 2nd out of the 2nd inning. Well, yesterday you had a chance to watch the Royals and the Cardinals on Fox Saturday Baseball. Next Saturday, it's the Cubs and the White Sox, between Windy City rivals. So Fox Saturday Baseball coming up on Saturday at 3 p.m. Central on Fox. I think this rivalry in Missouri is a little friendlier than the one in Illinois. What do you think?
I think you're probably right.
Hope you enjoyed yesterday's game with Dick Stockton and Eric Karros. 0-2 on Skip Schumacher, who got the Cardinals going in the 1st inning with a double. Scored on a Pujols infield single. Schumacher has scored 4 runs in the series. Still 0-2. On Tuesday against Arizona, Gil just breezed through the Diamondbacks, retired 12 of the first 13, 9 of the last 10, his first shutout as a Royal. and his first shutout since 2004. But at the end of the game, he got into quite a duel with Stephen Drew, who forced Gil to throw 10 pitches before Gil finally ended the game and got his shutout.
Well, Gil thought that was a tough hitter to face at the end of the game, and I told him that we felt up here that that was probably his last hitter, and I told him, he said, believe me guys, that was my last hitter.
Olivo dinged again, took a foul ball off of his foot.
I tell you what, I hate to see how many spots he's got bruised on his body. It seems like every game he gets hit, you know, somewhere at least 2 or 3 times.
That win against Arizona makes Gil 14-4 in interleague games. So he has a couple of things working for him today: his interleague record and his record in the month of June, which is 20-6. One ball, 2 strikes. The 2 runs scored by the Cardinals in the first inning snapped a streak of 16 consecutive scoreless innings for Gil, going back to 2 starts ago. And he has really pitched well since making that adjustment of moving over to the first base side of the rubber.
Well, it really has done better. He feels like it opens up a lane to the outer half with his fastball and with his curveball. And when you're on the right side, it's a longer trip for that curveball to get from your hand to the outer half. So he felt like that just freed him up to go right down the lane and not have to worry about that.
Over through that pitch, and the count goes from 0-2 to 3-2. Gil, every now and then, when he's angry with himself, will take a little stroll around the mound to kind of settle himself down, and misses with a walk to Schumacher. Gil's first walk. So runner at first, 2 outs.
When you look at pitch tracks here, you can see all these pitches here, Ryan, you know, where they are. That was down out of the strike zone there. And you look at the group of the other pitches there, and only really just 2 balls in the strike zone that at bat.
Trey Hillman out to have a short word with Gil. And that brings up Colby Rasmus, who tried to lay down a sacrifice bunt in the first inning. He did so successfully, but Gilmesh trying to throw out Schumacher at third on the play. Schumacher was safe. Rasmus ended up reaching, and he scored on a Chris Duncan sac fly. And the Duncan sac fly resulting in the best defensive play of the game so far, with Mitch Meyer crashing up against the wall in left center field. One ball, 1 strike. Rasmus, one of 13 rookies used by the Cardinals this year, and the Cardinals have made the most out of using all those rookies. They have by far the most RBIs from rookies in the major leagues this year, 75 runs driven in. Coming into this series, the next closest team was the Colorado Rockies, and they were some 35, 36 RBIs behind the Cardinals. Very close. Joe West, the crew chief, is the umpire at first.
This is a real close play at first base, and that's what a lot of people say was better to have that. If you're going to have a first baseman, better have a left-handed first baseman, because that tag is a lot easier for those guys to make. But Schumacher's only got 1 stolen baseman, caught twice. So I don't know if he warrants this much attention. You know, Bainey just just change your times to the plate and not waste those throws over to first base.
Yeah, every throw over to first is just more standing around today. Not running, and hit hard, knocked down by Hewlett at second, and still has time to get Rasmus and end the inning. But Khalil Green homers and the Cardinals tie it. Bottom of the second inning, it'll be Tug Hewlett leading off against Adam Wainwright. Tug making his first start for the Royals. He is just 0 for 7 in his 2 stints with the big league club. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals with 2 in the top of the first. The Royals came back with 3 in the bottom of the first, all coming with 2 outs. Jose Guillen driving in 2. And then Mark Tien's base hit driving in Guillen. Cardinals tying it in the top of the second inning on a Khalil Green home run. Well hit, but right to Tyler Green at shortstop. 1 down in the bottom of the second inning. Here's today's You Call It, presented by Sprint. Who do you believe is the best father-son combo? Gus and Buddy Bell. That was a 3-generation family with David Bell making it to the big leagues. Bobby and Barry Bonds, Ken and Ken Griffey Jr., Hal and Brian McRae. Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, followed by a space, and your answer. A, the Bells, B, the Bonds, C, the Griffeys, D, the McRaes. Standard text rate supply. One and one to Mitch Meyer. The Boones, another 3-generation family, did not make the cut today. The selection committee did not go with the Boones.
There was 3 of them. Along with the dad, Gus Bell. No, that's Bell. That's on Bell's side.
Ray Boone.
Ray Boone.
Ray Boone, Bob Boone, Brett Boone, Aaron Boone.
Long line.
There's that Wainwright curveball, his 3rd strikeout of the day. So Meyer is down, 2 up, 2 down in the bottom of the second. And now David DeJesus, who singled and scored in the first inning. Outside for ball 1. Now, in my experience here, Frank, and you've seen way more games here than I have, but there's about 2 hours and 45 minutes to maybe 3 hours of good quality baseball time. After that, there are some worn out bodies out there, and things can get pretty sloppy if it goes any longer than about 2:45 or so.
Well, I agree. I think anytime you have a lot of extra base hits, or you have a lot of long innings, and I understand your legs get heavier as the game goes. You got to run it 3 or 4 times down the first base line if you run hard. All that takes away from your stamina. So I would agree with that.
So what's harder in a day like today, the way your body feels or just maintaining your concentration?
Well, your concentration will stay well. If your pitcher's throwing strikes and keeping the ball in play, your concentration will be fine. But if it's a lot of deep counts, a lot of standing around, then you do lose some concentration. The heat factor takes over. So from a mental standpoint, you just got to be a little bit tougher.
DeJesus hits it hard into deep center field. DeJesus gone. take the lead again. DeJesus launching it to one of the deepest parts of the ballpark.
Well, you see a happy David Davis there in the clubhouse. That, you know, we said, Ryan, when it heats up in Kansas City, the ball will travel, and David got a fastball out over the plate, and he just stayed with it and drove it back through the middle, and this is what Kevin Seitzer preaches. Hit the ball back through the middle, but don't sacrifice any power doing it.
And the first pitch to Bloomquist is fly to right to end the inning, but the Royals get another run with 2 outs. DeJesus with his 5th home run of the year. Royals lead by 1. Royals baseball brought to you today by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. And by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Ryan Lefebvre with Frank White, Joe Goldberg, and David DeJesus. Just put the Royals back out in front with a home run in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And now Albert Pujols, and you don't mind facing him as much with nobody on base. Infield single and an RBI in the Cardinals' 2-run first inning. Frank and I on top of the Bud Light party deck way out in right field. Getting a great view of new Kauffman Stadium. There we are. Frank picked out the shirts. I just kind of went along because I'm a team guy.
Well, I won't comment on that one. But I tell you, being up here with this breeze, even though it's a hot day, it's pretty comfortable.
Shallow center, long run out for Hewlett, and Meyer comes on to make the play. So Pujols is 1 for 2. Here's today's Roadrunner Turbo speed pitch comparison. Adam Wainwright's a big guy at 6'7", but not necessarily a power pitcher. He will get his strikeouts, and Gill at 93, Wainwright at 91. Double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable.
Well, he's got that assortment, you know, of pitches that most guys have. He's probably 92, 93 with ball sinks and cuts, and he got the slider, curveball, and changeup.
Guy that big, though, you figure 97, 98, you know, throwing the ball through the side of a brick wall.
Well, I would say big curveball is he loves that pitch. That's his neutralizer. So it's about breaking timing with that pitch.
1 and 2 on Ludwig.
So Gill really needs a fast inning here. I mean, he can't afford a long inning. He just got to have a couple innings where he can come out and throw, you know, 10, 15 pitches and get out of there.
Balls, 2 strikes. Now, Gill said after pitching that shutout against the Diamondbacks on Tuesday, maybe this heat brings out the Cajun in me. Being from Louisiana. And a cutter strikes out Ludwig, who doesn't like the call. Stands and stares at Paul Nart for a moment and takes the turn back to the dugout. First strikeout for Mesh.
Well, this is the fastball here. Gill tried to drive it down. It looks like it's a hard cutter down and away.
It was in the big box,
but not in the strike box.
Hit hard to center. Tough play for Meyer, and he's going to have to play it off the wall. Mitch Meyer has been running all over the place in the first 3 innings. So Duncan has a 2-out double. It was Duncan who lost an extra base hit when Meyer went crashing into the wall in the top of the first inning.
Well, he's really added some footage to his swings today. And Mitch Meyer's got a lot of running. You know, like you said, crashing into the wall on the first one, and here he drives him into right center field for another double. And Mitch Meyer, tell you, he don't want to do that too much all day.
I think if Mitch makes that play on Duncan, Duncan charges the center fielder.
It may take him a while to get there.
And now Molina, who grounded into a double play in the first inning. Molina is the most difficult hitter in the National League to strike out. Now that's an impressive statistic, but sometimes when you look a little closer at the numbers, you see that a lot of those guys, and Alberto Callaspo is the same with the Royals, tough guys to strike out are a lot of times tough guys to walk. They don't strike out much because they're swinging very early in the count.
Yeah, and he does a good job because he's not trying to pull the ball. He's just trying to put the ball back through the middle of right field. He tries to keep a swing as short as possible.
And he does poke it to the right side. Hewlett throws him out. Cardinals done in the 3rd inning. This is Matthew Gwynn sitting in the Buck O'Neil Legacy seat at today's game. He is the winner of the Royals' annual Father of the Year essay contest. He and his wife Tamara have been married for 22 years. They have 5 children, and he was nominated by his 10th grade daughter Catherine, who wrote an essay about her father. So congratulations to Matthew. Great seat at today's game. Billy Butler doubled and scored in the Royals' 3-run 1st inning. He did so on a curveball, and another curveball is lined towards center field. Rasmus on it quickly, holding Billy to a single. So Wainwright has hung a couple of curves to Billy, and he's made him pay both times.
Well, he started him off with another curveball too, Ryan. It really looked like he was in the same spot as the time before, and then he comes right back with another one, and Billy doesn't try to pull it. He just lets it come as far as it's going to come, and then he just stays right with it, and he drives it in the right center field. That's a good piece of hitting right there.
You know, I think you brought up a great point, Frank, that's not a horrible pitch. If Billy tries to pull that curveball, then all of a sudden it's a good pitch.
It really is. I mean, if he lets it travel to the point where, say, the curveball to Gil Mesh through the Khalil Green, where he can get under it and drive it, then that's one thing. But if you get out in front of it and roll over on it, now you got a ground ball at third. So Billy let the ball travel, and then he stayed behind it and drove it to right field, which is really the proper way to approach that pitch.
So 2 hits for Billy. Mike Jacobs struck out looking in the 1st inning with runners at 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. But his teammates picked him up. Skien hit a 2-run single. Tien an RBI single. 2 and 1 on Jacobs. Cardinals 2 in the top of the 1st. Royals 3 in the bottom of the 1st. Cardinals getting a run in the top of the 2nd to tie it, and the Royals in the bottom of the 2nd getting a home run from DeJesus to go back out in front.
Well, that's a good count for Jacobs here. It's 2-1. It's 2-1 count, Ryan. That's a good count for him, and that's the pitcher. He's got to be ready to hit. That pitch is right in his wheelhouse, and that's when you can't let the pitch off the hook with.
Does that usually mean a hitter is guessing when they let a pitch like that go by?
Well, you got to be guessing in that count, but you got to be guessing in your zone. I mean, that's your pitch. This is when you have to center your pitch, and he gets it, you don't miss it, but he just didn't swing at it.
And Molina hangs on for a strikeout. Wainwright's 4th, the 2nd time he's gotten Jacobs. 67 strikeouts for Jacobs this year. Royals have an off day tomorrow. Continue interleague play next week on the road, going to Houston, then Pittsburgh. It'll be Zach Greinke against Russ Ortiz on Tuesday night, and that game is in HD. Royals live with Joel Goldberg at 6:30. So Butler at first, 1 out. Strike 1 on Jose Guillen with 2 strikes. Single to right field in the 1st inning, scoring DeJesus and Butler. Diving stop at short by Tyler Green, and the Cardinals don't quite turn the double play, but Green prevented a 1st and 3rd and 1 out with that dive at short.
This is just solid playing right here. Jose gets the ball, fastball down and in. Tyler Green goes over, makes a nice stop. Don't try to do too much, and make sure the second baseman got a good feed, and that's when you take it out of your hand into the second baseman, and then second baseman makes a decision whether he wants to go for 2 or get 1. But Tyler Green did a great job getting to his feet and making a nice feed to second base.
Our Firestone leaderboard, team triples this year. The Royals with 26 after Mark Tien hit his first. And that is 8 more than the next closest team, the Pirates. We'll see them next weekend at beautiful PNC Park.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing both these stadiums on the next road trip. They're both real nice stadiums and with different characteristics, but fun stadiums to be in.
Minute Maid Park in Houston thankfully has a roof with that oppressive heat in the summer.
It's got the interesting center field where you can actually run uphill to try to catch a ball once you get to a certain point. You got a little train that runs across left field. That's kind of cool.
And then PNC Park in Pittsburgh thankfully does not have a roof because we have a beautiful view of downtown Pittsburgh and the river.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to walk around the whole stadium there, and it's really kind of cool. And plus, they've got the biggest statues in the world. I like it. You know, Willie Stargell, Clemente, those guys, they got nice statues there.
1-2 to Tien. Looking over your shoulder, I can see the George Brett statue, the Dick Hauser statue. Your statue, I believe, is obscured by one of the support beams supporting the lights. We have a nice view of the outfield experience out here. That's a great place to watch the game.
It really is. I can see why people like to hang out here.
Tien did not go around. It's 2-2.
You know, we were down in the party porch. We had a hard time seeing the left field side of the field, but up here you got the full view of the left field line, and really the whole park's right in front of you. I really like the drives into the gaps and how you can see the ball and the outfield to kind of come together. It's kind of cool.
There's the George statue, which is just to our right. He in at first base and 2 down. Yeah, I'll admit I was a little concerned about doing the game from up here because we're a lot further from home plate than we normally are, but fabulous view. Tien is down, and so are the Royals. That's 5 strikeouts for Wainwright. Royals baseball brought to you today by Panera Bread. Explore a menu full of hearty soups, hand-tossed salads, inventive sandwiches, and savory breakfast items. Panera Bread, where every detail matters. Four to 3 Royals, 4th inning. 0-1 on Rick Ankiel. Flied out to left field in the 2nd inning. And gets one through the right side. So Ankiel is 1 for 2. Cardinals have their 6th hit. Now normally we are behind home plate in our nice cozy Fox Sports Kansas City booth. This is the shot from our booth. Ron Swan, who shoots the game from high home. Hi, Swanee. Up and down with the camera, Swanee, just so we know you're talking to us. There he is. And there's our booth. And there's Jamie and Joel. How about it?
This is their one shot at air conditioning.
Yeah.
Which there is none.
Cardinals are going to have 2 on as Khalil Green is hit. Now Green came out of the game early on Friday after he was hit by a pitch. Well, he stayed in the game after fouling the pitch off of his foot, but then came out early. This one may have gotten him on the knee.
No, that's a bad place to get hit. You don't want to ever get hit below the knee or below the elbow. And Oliva wanted his pitch inside, but Gil really ran it inside off the knee. That's what called missing location by quite a bit right there.
Not a whole lot of meat for cushion when you're hit there. Here's today's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. Fewest home runs allowed by starters who have made at least 10 starts. And Gil giving up his 3rd to the guy that he just hit and knocked out of the game. Joel Pinheiro, the Royals missed him in this series. Green is going to come out. Gill had a home run overruled in early May. You might remember a disputed inside the park home run in Anaheim. A ball hit off the bat of Howie Kendrick, which was appealed and later overturned. So Joe Thurston is going to take over for Green. And the Cardinals have 2 on with nobody out, and Tyler Green coming up. Tyler Green flied out to right field in the 2nd inning. He has 1 sacrifice bunt this year. The Royals are ready for a bunt. It's ball 1.
Now, this is really good strategy by Tony La Russa right here, Ryan, just trying to get back in the game and keep adding on. The Royals haven't been known to score a lot of runs, so if he can add on a few runs here, that'll really help out.
And bunting it towards third and making Tien field it. So he got 1 job done by making the third baseman field the ball, and then he reaches himself, and they're loaded up with nobody out.
But it's a situation where Tien's got to read this ball right away. He's got to know whether or not Gil Mesh can get this ball, or he's got to come in and call him off. Thurston bunted it hard enough by the time Tien realized that Tyler Green, by the time Tien realized that it wasn't going to work, it was too late at first base.
So Ankiel, Thurston, and Green on the bases for the top of the order. And Skip Schumacher was doubled and walked.
Again, it goes back to little things. You know, in the first inning, it was a bunt play, and here's another bunt play to kind of prolong the inning and really put the Royals in a situation where if they don't have some good things happen to them this inning, the Cardinals can score quite a few runs.
Schumacher in front of DeJesus. Runners had to make sure it was going to drop, so everyone moves up 1 base. The Cardinals have tied it at 4 in the 4th. That's Schumacher's 6th hit in this series, his first RBI. So the first 4 reach in the 4th inning. And that brings up Colby Rasmus, who is a hot hitter at the moment. And Frank was talking about the bunt play earlier in the game. It was Rasmus laying down a bunt, and he reached when the Royals tried to get the out at third and failed to get the out. On the outside corner for strike 1. Well, we talked an inning ago about how the Cardinals have used 13 rookies already this year, and they have by far the most RBIs by rookies in the major leagues. Rasmus has driven in 28. Bats with the bases loaded, nobody out. And the count is 1-1. Tony La Russa, one of those managers who has a great reputation of getting the most out of a player.
He really does, and whether it be just put them in, when it kind of boils down to, Ryan, is that regardless of how young, he just puts them in a position where they can succeed.
Infield fly rule has been called, so Rasmus is out, doesn't get the job done there. And the base is loaded with 1 away. Well, what do you do with Albert Pujols with the bases loaded?
You pitch to him, but you pitch to him carefully. I don't think you give in to him. I think it's easier to try to give him something that is tempting, and they can get him to maybe get out in front. But I wouldn't serve him up something that he could possibly break this game wide open with. If you walk him here, it's still not a bad thing.
Well, as you can see, he's terrible in his career with the bases loaded. I mean, 398 with 8 grand slams. Who hasn't done that? And this year, 3 for 3 with 2 grand slams. He's driven in 10. After the first pitch, and he pulls it foul. There was a game, I don't remember, it was 96, 97. Buck Showalter, when Barry Bonds was going like gangbusters, in the 9th inning walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded. And the Diamondbacks with a 3-run lead didn't want to give Bonds a chance to win it. And the Diamondbacks ended up winning the game after doing that. 1 ball, 1 strike.
But I think with managers, Ryan, I think it's all about what can I do that I can, if it doesn't work, that I can still sleep at night. I think that's what it boils down to. Who do I want to beat me?
Two and 1.
What's good about Pujols here is that he really has a good eye at the plate. He doesn't chase a lot of bad pitches, and he doesn't get hit in this situation too often. So I'm sure he's going to wait to get the pitch he wants before he commits to swinging at something out of the strike zone.
Two and 2. Looking for a pitch up, and he got it.
Yeah, Gil's living on the edges of the plate, and that's what he's going to have to try to do. And it's hopefully get him to go out there and maybe try to hit one and pop it up. But that's a good place to be location-wise in terms of being on the outside corner. But I think you probably want to get the ball down a little bit more.
Just missed with the curve. It appeared to fool Pujols. He kind of flinched.
Well, the reason he flinched is Gil threw it harder. This is not really the typical curve that he throws. He really snaps this when it goes up and down in a hurry. And it is out of the strike zone, but it just sort of raised him up and brought him back down again because of the speed of it.
Not quite the flinch that Mike McDougal caused against Pujols a number of years back to end the game in St. Louis. Got him to chase one that may have been ball 4.
Well, this is what good hitters do. They foul off the tough pitches and hope that the pitcher come back and make a mistake on the next pitch. Same area, but look, he was able to just foul it off, and now he can reset himself for the next pitch. And it's really hard on the pitcher too in this situation too, because you got to continually make good pitches.
To deep left field. Unbelievable. Albert Pujols has come to the plate 4 times this year with the bases loaded, and only once as a pitcher kept him in the ballpark.
But Gil left his pitch up, and it ran right back into his bat, and he was just sitting there waiting on it. And I say good hitters get their pitch. When they get their pitch right, they don't miss. And Albert Pujols didn't miss on this grand slam.
That's a second grand slam of the series. The first was hit by the current batter, Ryan Ludwig. The Cardinals lead by 4. That's another $18,000 to the home run challenge for prostate cancer research. And more than 18,000 cheers from those wearing red here at Kauffman Stadium.
Hey, you go back to that Pujols at bat. Gil really made a couple really good pitches at Albert, and Albert was able to foul him off. And I'm sure if those pitches were taken and he walked him, he wouldn't have bothered him one bit. But Albert was able to go out there with his bat and foul those pitches off. Then Gil had to come back and continually make pitches, and he just waited for him to make a mistake.
Two and two on Ludwig. And you have to be so calm in a situation like that. You know, you're fouling off tough pitches, but he was never on the defensive and had great balance, great concentration. You could tell he was slowing the game down. That pitch came and he took a swing like he was in the middle of a round of batting practice.
Well, he's always in a hitter's mode. A lot of guys won't look to hit in those situations, figure they're not going to get anything to swing at. But what he did was he made Gil Mesh make a mistake. He said, okay, I know you don't want to throw the ball down the middle of the plate. I know you're going to live on the corners. I'm going to try to pop out these pitches off. And if I walk, it's not a bad thing. And from Gil's standpoint, if he walks, it's not a bad thing. But in the event he makes a mistake, I'm going to be ready for him.
Now Gil is out of the game in the 4th inning. Tejeda in. Gil Mesh, a shutout on Tuesday against Arizona, but on Sunday is out in the 4th inning after giving up 5 runs, 4 on a grand slam from Albert Pujols. And remember, Gil had only given up 2 home runs in 84 1/3 innings before today's game. The 2 home runs today and 3 1/3 on a hot, windy day, and the ball is really carrying. Now Robinson Tejeda, who is just back from the disabled list. Kyle Davies was sent down to AAA Omaha to make room for Tejeda, who had some soreness in his right shoulder. Two runs in the first given up by Gil. 1 in the second on a home run from Khalil Green, and 5 here in the 4th. And the Royals have let a couple of 1-run leads slip away, 3-2 at the end of 1 and 4-3 at the end of 2. Chris Duncan will face Tejeda. Sac fly in the 1st inning on a great play by Mitch Meyer up against the wall, and then double to right center in the 3rd. This is not to make an excuse for the Royals at all, but sometimes you catch a team at the right time, sometimes you catch a team at the bad time. And this might not be the best time to play the Cardinals, the way they're swinging the bat and pitching.
Well, when you get that combination going, it really makes your team look good. You know, Royals had won 4 in a row, and looked like they were on their way to being consistent on that consistent winning trend, and good pitching came in and stopped them, and like you say, the Cardinals bats were hot, and they still swinging the bat well.
3-0 on Duncan. Before going on the disabled list, Robinson Tejeda was Trey Hillman's kind of closer in the middle of games. 3 balls, 1 strike. If a situation came up with men on base, maybe less than 2 outs, when Trey needed someone to come in who could get a strikeout, that was Tejeda's job. He was the fireman. Three and 2.
Like a nice changeup right there from Tejeda.
You can probably hear the wind on our microphones. It has really picked up. So a great day to hit not so great day to pitch. That's through the right side. Ludwig will go first to third. Duncan has his second hit. And now the 9th man to come to the plate, Molina. A couple of ground balls for Molina, one of them a double play that ended the first inning. Batting average at .288 coming into this plate appearance. Very late swing. It's 0-1. Molina last year hit over 300, and that was 29 points above his career average. 252, 216 the year the Cardinals won the World Series, although he had a big home run in the NLCS, and leading up to a 304 last year. He was hitting 291 coming in today. Mentioned back in the 3rd inning before he grounded out, he is the toughest in the National League to strike out.
He didn't really seem to like to hit his slider. That he had to step out and wipe his brow. Came back with another one. Some pitchers just really put you in a very defensive situation. Those are 2 defensive swings right there.
Well, sometimes a hitting coach will tell you throw your bat head at the ball.
Well, you hope you can foul it off, but for some reason he wasn't picking up the pitch that well, and you can tell by his first swing at that slider that he was a miffed by it when he stepped out and wiped his brow and came back in, and probably figured he had another one coming and hoping he could lay off of it, but he couldn't.
And now Ankiel, who started this inning with a single to right. He singled. Khalil Green hit by a pitch and left the game. Joe Thurston running for him. Tyler Green laying down a sac bunt did better than that. He ended up with a base hit. Schumacher got a run home with a single. Rasmus popped out. Pujols hit a grand slam. And the Cardinals have hung a 5 on the scoreboard in this 4th inning. Mentioned this might be a bad time to face the Cardinals. They were coming off a bad streak. They had lost 5 in a row, 6 of their last 7. But now they've won 7 of their last 10, and they've taken over first place in the Central, passing the Milwaukee Brewers after winning the first 2 games of this series against the Royals. Tony La Russa's team is 7 games above 500. That's into right field. Cardinals have 6 in the 4th inning. Ludwig scores. Duncan goes first to third. And that's the last run charged to Gil Mesh. So Gil gives up 9 in 3 1/3 innings.
Yeah, Rick Ankiel really likes the ball up, Ryan, and whether it be a fastball or a breaking ball, and he really tries to turn on the ball and hits the ball hard. And he's pulled a number of balls into that 4-6 hole, I'm sorry, 4-3 hole, and for base hits to right field. The ball just seems to jump off his bat too when he hits it.
Well, the surprise still in the Central, Frank, is the Cubs. They're 2 games above 500, but everyone picked the Cubs to just run away with this division. They had the pitching, they had the offense. Tony La Russa's team is in first place. The Brewers are, even though they went to the playoffs last year, still a surprise because they're doing it without Sabathia. They're doing it without Ben Sheets. Royals swept the Reds to begin this homestand, and even with that, Cincinnati's still above 500, only 3 games out.
But Tony plays a really conventional type of game, right? He knows he's got speed. He knows he got guys that can handle the bat. He knows he's got pitching, some power, and he knows how to pull it all together. And the pitching, when we were there, pitching was just outstanding. When it was the lights out when we came through, they weren't giving up no runs. And they just continue to pitch. As long as you continue to pitch, you got a chance to be in the race. I mean, everything he's asked of his players today, they've been able to do. He wanted them to bunt. They got the bunts down. And so there was no fundamental breakdown that hurt this ball club today, and they benefited from it.
Jamie Wright warming up in the Royals pen. To add a number to your statement, Frank, when the Royals left St. Louis last month, their starters were in the middle of a stretch where they had allowed only 4 earned runs in over 43 innings. They had thrown 3 consecutive shutouts. They shut out the Cubs in the final game of that series, and the Royals came to town. They shut out the Royals in the first 2 games. Now Thurston takes a walk. So Tejeda's come on. He's given up a single. He has struck out a batter, and now a single and a walk. And Trey Hillman is going to make another pitching change.
Ryan, St. Louis is up 9-4, top of the 4th, and Arby's pitch by pitch to Albert Pujols. And Gill starts him off with a cutter down and away. There's a 94-mile-an-hour fastball to the outer half. A sinker down underneath the swing. Another fastball. Big curveball. And this is where Albert really goes to work. He really did a good job fouling that pitch off. Then Gill left the changeup up out over the plate. And that was the grand slam pitch.
9th grand slam of Pujols' career. His 4th this year. 3rd this year. He is 4 for 4 this year with the bases loaded with 3 home runs and 14 RBIs. And Trey Hillman didn't get much out of Robinson Tejeda, who got him just 1 out in this 4th inning. So he has to use 3 pitchers in the inning. Gil Mesh getting the first out, Tejeda the second, and now Jamie Wright with the bases loaded 2 down and Tyler Green at the plate. Ball 1 on Green. Pujols' home run is what got all the Cardinal fans out of their seats with the bases loaded, but it was Green's bunt that got the inning going. Runners at first and second, nobody out, laying down a sac bunt, but it turned into a hit when the Royals were slow to cover. And Schumacher drove in a run, Pujols the slam, and now Ankiel has driven in the 6th run of this inning. Pujols getting half the day off today. He's the designated hitter. Producer Kevin Shank just brought up a good point. Unfortunately, he's taken the wrong half off. It would have been much better if he decided to play defense today and not hit. But I don't think they've come up with that rule yet.
But you hope he wears down somewhere.
Now, American League rules. Tony La Russa could have decided to bat Adam Wainwright and use the DH for Pujols. So I take that back. There was that option. You don't have to use the DH for the pitcher. Bases loaded walk. In this inning, Royals have walked 2 and hit a batter. It's a 7-run 4th, and it's 10-4 St. Louis. I think the heat's getting to me.
I know it's going to get to the defense of the Royals out there because they've been on the field a long time.
Schumacher, the 13th hitter to come up in the inning. Here comes run number 8. And now some of the cheers from the Cardinal fans have given away some boos from Royals fans. So this is the biggest inning for the Cardinals in the series. They had a 6-run third on Friday night. 2-0 on Schumacher. Now Miguel Olivo is going out to the mound to maybe help out Jamie Wright and give him a chance to catch his breath with this very hot afternoon, but at the same time that just means more standing around for the defense. Two and one. Six hits, 5 runs scored, and an RBI for Skip Schumacher in this series. He has already scored a run in this inning. Rick Ankiel has scored twice in this inning. Three and one. To Hewlett at second base, and this inning is finally over. The Cardinals send 13 to the plate and score 8 runs. Well, for the 4th time in the last 5 games, the Royals have given up double digits in runs. Miguel Olivo leads off the bottom of the 4th inning. Royals have actually led twice today. 3-2 lead at the end of 1, 4-3 at the end of 2. But an 8-run 4th inning for the Cardinals. And now the Royals in their last 5 games have been outscored 52-20. One ball, 2 strikes. Olivo struck out in the 1st inning. There's really no way to paint a pretty picture with what's going on right now, but the potentially frightening thing is that when the Royals were not winning games, as Olivo down in the count singles to center field. When the Royals were losing games, Frank, they were still among the league leaders in ERA. They were pitching fine. They weren't pitching great like they were earlier in the year. They just weren't scoring runs, and now giving up some big numbers.
They're giving up big numbers, and that is a concern because it's not just one guy. It's you know, when your staff, especially your bullpen, is not able to hold guys, and your starters aren't going deep, then that constitutes the whole staff, and it's really tough, especially when a lot of this is just executing a little play like a bunt to kind of get you outs when you need the outs. So it's going to be tough enough outs to make already on defense, but when you're giving outs and you're not even taking those outs and just adding extra hitters and to the inning, then that really just takes you downhill right there.
Tug Hewlett lined out to short his first time. He is 0 for 8 in at-bats this year at the big league level. And that's driven into right field, but Ludwig is there. So Bad luck for Hewlett so far today. He's hit 2 right on the nose, but has nothing to show for it. 1-on-1 out for Meyer. Now Bud Light shows us what's on tap. Day off tomorrow. Tuesday through Thursday, the Royals will be in Houston, and the next weekend at Pittsburgh, and then that's the end of interleague play. The next homestand with Minnesota in town. Olivo takes off for second base. Shouldn't be a stolen base, as Duncan was not holding him over at first. Defensive indifference. Myers struck out his first time up. No balls, 2 strikes. So the Royals coming back on the next homestand to face Minnesota and Chicago. After that, a road trip to Detroit and Boston, and then the All-Star break. Meyer is down on strikes. A 3-pitch strikeout for Wainwright, and his 6th of the year. So 6 strikeouts today and no walks for Adam Wainwright. And David DeJesus to the plate. He's 2 for 2. Singled in the first and scored in the Royals' 3-run first, and then homered the straightaway center field in the second inning. Tyler Green at shortstop. That is the inning. We've played 4. St. Louis leads by 7. Well, there's a look at the left field side of New Kauffman Stadium. We are on the right field side in the Bud Light party deck on top of Rival Sports Bar. There we are. Brian Lefevre with Frank White. It's a great place to watch the game.
Oh, this is great. I mean, this view of the ballpark, I see why the fans like to come out here and hang out, because you can see everything from this height. I think it's a height more than anything else. So you can look down on the field, you see the players moving around, see the flight of the ball. It's real nice to be up here.
One of those places where last year, this was not a place where you could watch the game because this building didn't exist. Last year, there were spots like in left field and right field that maybe you could have been sitting on the outfield grass if that was permitted. So those spots, I won't say they were available, but they were there, but not here.
Well, this outfield experience has been pretty awesome. I haven't really had an opportunity to see it all and experience it all, but just listen to the fans and all the interactive things with families. It's been awesome for everybody that's been out here.
On this very hot day, it's been nice. There have been a few times where the fountains in right field have been in full effect, and we'll catch some of the mist blowing over here, and a lot of fans standing at the railing behind the fountains, hoping to cool off on this day with temperatures in the mid-90s.
Well, again, we need to get them revved up with some runs here in the stadium and get them hot first, and then that fountain really will feel better at that point. Just got to get the Royals going here. Trey Hillman's going to need someone out of the bullpen to step up today and give him 2 or 3 innings.
Willie Bloomquist throws out Kobe Rasmus, 1 away in the 5th inning. Well, this would be a great day for some sort of short sleeve shirt, and coming up on the 4th of July, a 12-10 game, and the first 10,000 ladies will receive this halter top. The first 10,000 guys a classic ringer tee thanks to KMCI, 38 the spot. These would be good things to wear today. There's a Cardinal version. Albert Pujols, with 1 out, has driven in 5 runs today. Hit his 9th career grand slam last inning. And the Cardinals sent 13 to the plate and scored 8. Had quite a battle with Gil Mesh and ended up hitting a home run off the windows of the Royals Hall of Fame in left field. Blasted to left field again. Six RBIs in this game, 10 in the series. And really, this is nothing new for Albert Pujols in this ballpark.
Well, the thing that you really worry about when you have a sinker ball on the mound and you expect him to throw sinkers and induce ground balls, and he gets the slider up and gets a home run on the slider, then you know, as a pitcher coach and as a manager, you wonder, you know, what's going on.
Another $18,000 to the Home Run Challenge, which is raising money for prostate cancer research and awareness. Cardinals have hit 3 home runs today. Royals have hit 1. Ian in right field retires Ludwig. Ludwig 1 for 3. 2 down in the 5th inning. Here's Joe Goldberg.
Yeah, guys, we had Albert Pujols on the pregame show today, and I was asking him what we've talked about so many times, how he deals with being walked so often, the patience, and he said, you know, he just has to have good at-bats and trust the other guys before and after him to get it done. But he said that he really likes to learn from bad situations. He said he struck out yesterday against Kyle Farnsworth on a pitch that if it was thrown to him 100 times, he would probably hit it 97 out of those 100 times. And he said, I just looked back at that situation. I was mad at myself over it and thought, I got to learn from it and get better from it. I think he might have learned from it a little bit, guys.
If there's anything for him left to learn. That Exmo look at his swing is a good example. You know, kids in Little League, you know, they want to hit home runs like Albert Pujols, and they think you do it with an uppercut swing. His swing is as level as anyone in the major leagues.
You have to get down through that ball and create some backspin, and that's where your carry comes from. But with him, it starts with balance. You very rarely see him swing and fall backwards or swing and fall across the plate. He seems to be about as balanced a hitter I've ever seen.
It's the 28th time in his career he's hit more than 1 home run in a game.
Yeah, Ryan, he has a way of getting his body out of the way. I mean, he just, you know, that old saying, slow body, quick hands, that's what he does. He just slows his body down, and he just lets his hands do the work, and they just come down through the ball. And I tell you what, all you guys that are looking at hitting, you don't roll those wrists until you get through the ball, not before you get to contact.
T and wide at third, and that takes care of Duncan to end the inning, but Pujols goes deep again. He has driven in 6 today. This is his 2nd home run of the day. Royals baseball brought to you today by Bud Light. With just the right taste that never fills you up, the difference is drinkability. And by Colorado Tourism. Plan your summer vacation at Colorado.com. 1 strike on Willie Bloomquist. A couple of flyouts today, one on a diving play in center by Colby Rasmus. 1-1 from Adam Wainwright, who gave up 3 runs in the 1st inning, giving away a 2-0 lead. And then a home run to David DeJesus in the 2nd. So he was down at one point today, 4-3. But now has thrown 2 scoreless. Now 2 1/3 scoreless. Fly out to right from Willie Bloomquist. Here's the James B. Nutter and Company pitch count for Adam Wainwright. 67 pitches. An outstanding strike to ball ratio, 48-19.
The one thing he's doing, Ryan, is he's inducing early contact for the most part. He's sitting that first pitch strike over, and if he's missing on the first pitch, he's coming back with the 2nd pitch and forcing the Royals to put the ball in play.
He's had trouble with Billy Butler today, and mostly with the curveball. Hung a curve to Billy in the 1st inning, doubled to left center, and left a curveball up. Wasn't necessarily a hanger. Billy just did a good job of hitting it up the middle and single to center in the third. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I think they've changed their pitching pattern on him this time. They started him hard with everything been hard so far this at bat, and they haven't slowed the ball down. I don't think he's going to see a curveball this at bat.
Wainwright has gone 7 innings or more in 6 of his last 7 starts. He's really given the team some innings, and now Billy launches it to center, but Rasmus runs it down. So Billy's had 3 good swings against Wainwright today, 2 out of 3. 2 outs in the 5th inning. He has given up some home runs. The Jesus home run today is the 5th he has given up in his last 5 starts. And the home run by David put the Royals in front 4-3, but now Wainwright living on that 8-run 4th inning. Now Jacobs lines it hard to left field, and the Royals are down quickly in the 5th inning on just 8 pitches. Not many highlights so far for the Royals today, down by 8, but one of them was very early in the game, back in the first. Our Coors Light freeze camp, Chris Duncan with the bases loaded, driving on to deep left center, and Mitch Meyer making a great catch up against the wall, which resulted in a sac fly. Coors Light freeze camp brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Another big crowd here today. (91 degrees) at first pitch. And here's Ron Mayhay, the 4th Royals pitcher. Cardinals knocking Gil Mesh out after 3 1/3. He was charged with 9 of the 12 runs. Robinson Tejeda returning from the disabled list today, only able to go 1/3 of an inning and gave up 2 runs. And now Jamie Wright, 1 run in an inning and a third, and Mayhay gets Molina, Ankiel, and Thurston in the 6th inning. Molina 0 for 3, including a strikeout and a ground into a double play. One and 2. Oh, and Kyle Davies was sent down to the minor leagues. Got an off day coming up, and the Royals won't need a 5th starter for a while. You get an extra arm in the bullpen, and Robinson Tejeda, but he was only able to go 1/3 of an inning. Mayhay tried to barehand that. Good thing he didn't. As Tug Hewlett throws out Molina, and Molina is 0 for 4.
Yeah, Mayhay was a little slow getting up after this, and you wonder whether he hurt himself or caught the ball right off the end of his fingertip. But that's something that you never want to do as a pitcher, is try to barehand that ball. I know some of it is instincts, but at the last minute, something in your brain has got to say, let it go. But ooh, it hit that little finger, yeah, right on the corner. Now, that could have been worse. That could have taken that little nail off, and he may have been walking off the mound right now.
1 strike on Ankiel. Ankiel with 2 hits today, both of them in the 4th inning, and he scored twice in that inning, as well as driving in a run. A couple of guys here who turned their careers around. Ankiel, the former pitcher, now slugging outfielder. Ron Mayhay, the former light hitting outfielder turned pitcher. Back in 1995, it could have been the other way around. Ankiel pitching to Mayhay. Butler to the bag. 2 down. You know, the remarkable thing about those 2 guys is there are several players who make that transition at some point, but they usually do it in the minor leagues. There aren't many who get to the big leagues as one, go back to the minor leagues to start all over again, and get to the big leagues again.
All right, I managed against Ankiel when he was making his return back, and believe me, it wasn't easy for him to make that transition. The opposing fans were pretty hard on him, and just mentally just getting to the point where you want to try to be a position player versus a pitcher, and all the things that you got to factor in. But there's two things you noticed right away: that he was very aggressive, he ran good, he had a great arm, and then the bat was the one thing that you had to wait on to see if it was going to come. But everything else was there already.
Two 2-0 on Joe Thurston, who ran for Khalil Green in the 4th inning when Green was hit by a pitch. Appeared to be on the knee. And then Thurston scored on the Pujols grand slam, and then he walked later in that inning when the Cardinals batted 13. Ron Mayhay gives the Royals exactly what they need, a 1-2-3 inning.
This is a hot Sunday afternoon, and the Royals are trailing and going into the bottom of the 6th inning. This is our Sonic Slam inning. Contestant is Bev England from Blue Springs, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Bev will win $800. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Bev will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
It'll be Guillen, Tien, and Olivo. 1-1. Guillen had a big hit back in the 1st inning. The Royals were down 2-0. Guillen single tied the game. Went to second on the throw home and then scored on Tien's base hit, and the Royals were ahead 3-2. That seems like a long time ago. 3 balls, 1 strike. Full count. Guillen into deep left field. And a home run in the Sonic Slam inning. Jose Guillen has driven in 3 in the game. That home run was worth a lot of money. First of all, $18,000 in the home run challenge for prostate cancer research, and
Bev England has won $800 in our Sonic Slam inning. Congratulations, Bev.
And this day has a lot of meaning for Jose. He lost his father 10 years ago to prostate cancer. As Tien hits one right on the nose, but lines out to center field. So raising $18,000 for prostate cancer research, I'm sure means a lot to him.
I definitely think that's true, Ryan. Here's a little sinker that runs right into his bat on a 3-2 count. And I tell you, when Jose gets that ball down and in like that, he can get the bat hit to it as well as anybody. And that was a great swing, and the ball traveled a long way. Also made a lot of money.
So we've seen 5 home runs in today's game. Cardinals have hit 3. Albert Pujols 2. One of his a grand slam. Khalil Green is also homered for St. Louis, and the Royals getting home runs from DeJesus and Guillen. A strikeout and a single for Miguel Olivo. He went around. It's 0-1. Yadier Molina went to the mound after the line out from Tien, and that allowed Jason LaRue, former Royals catcher, now Cardinal backup catcher, to jog out to the bullpen. So they're going to begin to go to work. Wainwright's pitch count pretty good, 81 pitches, but you could probably add about 10 or 15 to that as far as how he feels on a day like today. One ball, 2 strikes. Miguel's been taking some swings like that the past few days where it's not quite his full swing, almost like a 3/4 swing, and trying to maybe flick the ball to the opposite field.
Well, I think he's probably thinking the other way, Ryan, but his body's not working with him. He's really a pull type guy, and he fights that. So his upper half wants to pull the ball, but his mind wants to hit the ball the other way. And then if the ball is away, then all he has left is his arm to try to get out there and hit it with.
And down on strikes for the second time. That's 7 for Wainwright. Thank you for saying that, because I was trying to figure out what was odd about the swing, but it's just like the upper body and the lower body aren't in concert.
Right, his mind tells him he wants to drive the ball the other way, and he probably does it on a continual basis in batting practice. When he gets in the game, you know, his upper half wants to open up a little too early because he does like to pull, and then the ball's away, and once you open up, then your swing gets a little longer, and it makes it harder to reach that ball away.
0-1 on Tug Hewlett, 0 for 2, but could easily be 2 for 2. He's lined out to short and lined out to right. So 0 for 9 as a Royal. One ball, 1 strike. Two and 1. As hot as it is, and if he is feeling some fatigue because of the heat, remember that Adam Wainwright grew up in the state of Georgia, which has very similar weather to Kansas City. Gil Mesh, growing up in Louisiana, had a lot of days like today. That may help a little bit, but at some point, I mean, this doesn't matter where you grew up, this is going to get to you.
Yeah, I think if you plan in it for maybe 10 days straight or something like that, then it would tell. But when it just pops up out of the blue, that's when it gets to get. I think everybody's susceptible to the same heat in that situation there. I know Louisiana, it's really hot there. I've been there before, AAA, and it's really a tough place to breathe.
That's 8 strikeouts for Wainwright and 2 in this inning. Twelve to 5, 5 home runs hit today. Here's the game summary. The biggest off the bat of Albert Pujols, who hit his 3rd grand slam of the season, 9th of his career, in an 8-run 4th inning. He's also added a solo home run. That was in the 5th. And a tough day for Gil Mesh, trying to build on his last start, that shutout against Arizona. Was out after 3 1/3 innings and giving up 9 runs. It's really only the first bad start that Gil's had since making that move over to the first base side of the rubber. But as I said earlier, this is probably not the time to be facing the Cardinals. They seem to be hitting everything.
Yeah, you're right about that. And when you make mistakes and you give them extra outs per inning, that only adds to the problem. And you got to get the outs when the outs present themselves and try to get on and off the field and give your offense a chance to get going.
We are broadcasting today from the Bud Light party deck on top of Rival Sports Bar, and have a nice little breeze up here, which has helped cool things down. Our Fox Sports Kansas City crew built us this nice tent, which has kept the sun off of us. And
yeah.
Maddie McLean of our crew just brought up some nice icy towels.
Oh, that's true. And if you ever wondered about that big blue book of knowledge that I've always referred to, here it is. This is Ryan's Bible. Anything that you want to know about baseball is in this Bible.
And look at this thing. You got some duct tape that's coming apart right here. And this flap coming. Might be time for a new blue book. What do you think?
I wouldn't mess with it. I mean, it served its purpose so far. So.
Ron Mayhey's retired the first 4 that he's faced. Here's Skip Schumacher for the 5th time today. On base 3 times. A double in the first, he scored. A walk in the second. A single, a run scored, and an RBI in the 4th, and then later in that same inning grounded out. To Bloomquist at shortstop, 2 down. Today's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefebvre with Frank White, Joel Goldberg. It's 1-1 on Colby Rasmus. 0 for 3, although he did drop down a sacrifice bunt in the first inning and reached when the play went to third. The Royals did not record an out and scored back in the Cardinals' 2-run first. It's 1-2. Mayhey strikes out Rasmus. So Mayhey has given the Royals bullpen 2 perfect innings. Stretch time at Kauffman Stadium on Father's Day. First God Bless America, then Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and we will take you around the major leagues, presented by Panera Bread. Good news for the Cardinals as the Brewers have already lost today, so that gives them a 1-game lead. White Sox beating the Reds. That's the team in front of the Royals. The White Sox in the AL Central. Houston over Minnesota. Cubs beating Cleveland. The Cubs now have won 4 in a row. Tampa at the Mets. Rain delay. That's where the Cardinals are headed. New York. Boston is leading Atlanta. 3-game lead for the Red Sox in the American League East. And the wind continues to pick up at Kauffman Stadium big time. Here's former Royal Dennis Reyes, whose nickname when he was with the Royals was Big Sweat, for his propensity to perspire no matter what the weather was or where he was. So he's got to be sweating today. On this Father's Day, we asked you back in the first inning, who is the best father-son combination? And 67% going with Ken and Ken Griffey Jr. Hal and Brian McRae coming in second place, followed by Bonds and Bell. And Dennis Reyes plunks Mitch Meyer to begin the bottom of the 7th inning. So Mitch, who struck out in his first 2 at-bats, is on base for the first time. Don't forget the first Royals Hall of Fame Classic presented by Willie Wilson Baseball and Farmland Foods takes place Friday, July the 17th at 4:45 p.m. A special exhibition game featuring Royals greats against former Major League All-Stars. Special ticket packages can be purchased at royals.com/HOF Classic. That's royals.com/HOF Classic. Come on out and watch Frank White, who says he's going to play all 9 innings.
We'll only get 4, but that's 9 for us. Well, I don't think it's going to be all that entertaining. I think you just got to make sure that your heroes don't get hurt. Well, I hope it's not a hot evening like today. Boy.
Well, middle of July, 4:45. What do you think?
I think it's going to be hot. got 4 days to hydrate for it, you know.
So Reyes on for Wainwright, who goes 6 innings. He threw 90 pitches. And with a big lead, Tony La Russa going to the bullpen in the 7th. Wainwright gave up 5 runs in his 6 innings, but pitched well with the big lead. And the key statistic for him, no walks. Meyer might advance 2 bases. Yadier Molina, first of all, couldn't find the ball, and then when he did, it's almost as if he assumed that Mitch would go to third base, because he didn't hustle to go get the ball, that's for sure.
Well, he looked at where he was and how the ball came off, and he's just sitting there circling. And, you know, with the lead like it is, it's a tough thing for Mitch to try to go to third. You don't want to make it out at third base in this situation, but Reyes is really uncharacteristically wild. His first pitch of the inning, he hit Meyer with a pitch, and now here's a wild pitch.
Three and 1 on DeJesus. David with a single and a solo home run, 2 runs scored today. Full count against Reyes. Ankiel out in left field, retires DeJesus. David is 2 out of 4. And Tony La Russa is going to make a pitching change. So 1 on, 1 out. Mott is into the game for the Cardinals. Bottom of the 7th, Royals with Meyer at second base and 1 out. Inc. College Nights offers $7 lower level seats to high school and college students with a valid student ID every Wednesday. The next one is July the 1st. It's also a happy hour with concession specials and the outfield experience. Royals and the Twins at 1:10. So the next Inc. College Night is actually an Inc. College Day. So a great deal for students. Come on out and check out the new outfield experience, or maybe the Bud Light party deck, Rival Sports Bar, where we are today. Bloomquist fouls away the first pitch. There we are, with the wind blowing and our trying to hold down all of our papers. Done a pretty good job so far on top of Rival Sports Bar out in right field. 1-1 on Bloomquist. Willie has flied out 3 times today. Center field, Rasmus there to make the catch. So 4 flyouts for Bloomquist, 2 down in the 7th inning. Hard throwing Jason Mott into the game. Third pitcher for the Cardinals today. We were talking about an inning ago about converted players, and Rick Ankiel and Ron Mayhay, the rare converted players that get to the big leagues at one position, go back to the minor leagues and return, going from, in Ankiel's case, pitcher to position player, other way around for Ron Mayhay. Well, Mott never made it to the big leagues as a catcher, but he was drafted as one. Wasn't quite hitting the way he and the Cardinals liked. So after 3 years, went to the mound in '06. 2 years after that, he was in the big leagues. Shallow right field. Ludwig runs up, and that's the inning. Royals scoreless in the 7th. Cardinals in front, 12-5. It's time to bring you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Top of the 8th. Cardinals with an 8-run 4th inning. That's the big item today. Changes for the Royals. Trey Hillman trying to give some guys a break with a blowout game in this weather. Tony Pena Jr. at short. Luis Hernandez at second. And Tug Hewlett moves from second base to right, so Bloomquist and Guillen are out, and Hewlett moving a position. And Juan Cruz on the mound. 5th Royals pitcher today. Ron Mayhay just pitched 2 perfect innings. Jamie Wright gave up 1 run in an inning and a third. Robinson Tejeda 2 runs in a third of an inning in his return from the DL. And tough day for Gil Mesh. He gave up 9 in 3 1/3 innings. And Albert Pujols has already homered twice today. RBI single in the 1st, grand slam in the 4th, solo home run in the 5th. He has driven in 10 runs in this series. And drives it into right center field, and that's going to be up against the wall. And Pujols carefully into second base with a sore leg. He has a 4-hit game. That's his first hit in this series that did not produce a run. Here's the Arby's pitch by pitch looking at all his hits in this series.
Right, I think the common theme with all these swings that Albert's taking, all these hits that he's getting and runs he's driving in, when you look at the location of the pitches, they're always up. And most of them, for the most part, is in the middle of the plate. And I think that what he's been able to do is take the tough balls on the corner, foul them off, and then force the pitcher to come back and make more than one good pitch. And most times, if that's the case, the hitter's going to win. But he doesn't miss his pitch when he gets it, and that's why he's been so successful in this series.
When these two teams played in St. Louis last month, Pujols was just 2 for 6. That's because he walked 7 times, 3 intentional walks. But this series, 6 hits, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs.
I mean, that's 2 months for a lot of guys. You know?
No kidding. Hal McRae had a great line talking about Pujols' approach at the plate and why he can do what he does. He said he's a big man with a small man's approach. So in other words, he goes up there just trying to hit line drives, but because he's so strong, his line drives carry a lot further than the little guys.
Oh, a lot further, Ryan. And we're not just talking about using one part of the ballpark. I mean, it's all parts of the ballpark with power, and that's what makes him so devastating.
For example, a guy like Mike Jacobs. Mike Jacobs you would call a big man swing. He goes up there and he's got one thing in mind. He's trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. If Pujols was 5'10", 180 pounds, he would have a good leadoff hitter, good line drive swing, right?
Well, that's true, because you have Mike Jacobs really just cuts the field in half. You know, he just uses that one half the field, where Albert uses the entire field. And another area is tough pitches, where Albert has the ability to foul off the tough pitches, where Mike Jacobs would probably swing over those pitches. That's why you have the difference in the strikeouts right there.
Only his rookie year has Pujols had more strikeouts than walks. It's another phenomenal part of his career, that He walks more than he strikes out with all those home runs, all those extra base hits. And he takes a lot of pride in a low number of strikeouts.
No, he's got the ability, Ryan, to know when he comes out of his normal way of doing things. Maybe he chased a bad pitch he knew he shouldn't have chased. He has the ability to make that correction the next at bat. It's not like he's going to be in that same funk for maybe 3 or 4 days. He's going to change it that next at bat, and that's why he's able to keep going the way he's going.
Drafted in '99, Rookie of the Year in 2001, batting title in '03, second in the MVP voting in '03, MVP in '05, MVP last year. He was the NLCS MVP in 2004. And is going to extend, unless he gets hurt, his already major league record. 8 consecutive seasons to begin a career with at least 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, which is remarkable. I'll tell you why after this pitch. As Ludwig launches it to center, and on the edge of the track is Meyer, and Pujols still playing hard in a 7-run game. He tags up and moves to third base. So Albert Pujols, to begin a major league career, 8 consecutive seasons with at least 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. The previous record was 3. He's done it 8 times. He's probably going to do it his 9th. That's how good he's been. That's how remarkable he's been. Guys have put up stretches of seasons like Albert Pujols, but never in the history of the game from day one. I mean, wouldn't you agree that most of the really, really good players over the course of history, they do something their first or second year, but they don't really get it going after maybe 3 or 4 years? Not this guy.
Well, he started off hot, and everybody knew right away what kind of hitter he was going to be. And even those years when Barry Bonds and winning the MVP, numbers-wise, he was always right there. And there was always that debate of who should be the MVP. But now there's not a hitter in his class in the American or National League right now.
Of course, it's always painful when he comes back to Kansas City because he went to high school not far from here, as well as junior college, but he was taken in the 13th round. So even the Cardinals passed up on him for 12 rounds, as did every other major league team. Duncan is down on strikes. That's 2 away in the 8th inning. And now Yadier Molina. Pujols was born in the Dominican Republic and then spent those high school and college years here in KC. In 2006 became an official U.S. citizen. His wife Deidre is from Kansas City, and they still spend a lot of time here in the offseason. Their full-time home is in St. Louis. Into right. Hewlett is there to make the catch, and that's the inning. So Pujols doubles to open the inning, but does not come around to score. Royals baseball brought to you today by Thoroughbred Ford. Want a great deal on a new F-150? At Thoroughbred Ford, we'll make it happen. Hot, humid, windy day in Kansas City. And the ball flying out. How would you like to be slugger today? Whoa. New battery for Cardinals in the bottom of the 8th. Jason LaRue takes over behind the plate. Yadier Molina, who was behind the plate, is over at first base. And Kyle McClellan is the new pitcher. First 6 innings turned in by Adam Wainwright. He gave up 5 runs, but pitched with a big lead for most of the day. Didn't walk anyone, struck out 8. Reyes and Mott combining for a scoreless 7. And now McClellan. I think Slugger could use one of those halter tops on a day like today. What do you think the temperature is inside of that costume?
He's a lot hotter than we are. I've seen him back in the tunnel with that head off, and I tell you, anything he can do to stay cool, that's what he's trying to do. I remember when the chicken used to come and perform on these hot sunny afternoons, and he'd go back down in the tunnel, and I mean it's just all they could do to keep him just dying from heat exhaustion. I mean they got the cold towels, the ammonia water, they got everything going for him to try to keep him fresh, and so he can go back out to do the next performance.
Jacobs 0 for 4 with that pop out. Oh, Slugger's still working hard. Bottom of the 8th inning. And now Luis Hernandez batting for the first time. Hernandez batting in Guillen's spot. Guillen driving in 3 today, a 2-run single and a solo home run. It was a long time ago, but his 2-run single in the first inning was a big hit. Cardinals got 2 in the first off of Gil Mesh. Hernandez lines it in front of Rasmus in center field. 1 on, 1 out.
Are these Mike and
Remember, you can shop the largest online selection of Royals gear 24/7 at the official pro shop of the Royals, Royals.com. So the Cardinals got 2 in the top of the first, and then the Royals back in the bottom of the first had runners at second and third and 1 out. But Adam Wainwright struck out Mike Jacobs. It looked like it could be a wasted inning, but Guillen with a 2-out 2-run single to tie it. And then Mark Teahan followed with a base hit. Royals led 3-2. Cardinals tied it in the second. And then getting a home run from David DeJesus in the bottom of the second. The Royals were out in front 4-3, but the big inning was the Cardinals' 8-run fourth. Schumacher at second makes a good play, and the Cardinals turn that into a double play. Royals scoreless in the 8th. Coming up after the game, it's Boulevard Royals Live, brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City's beer, with Joe Goldberg and Jamie Quirk from just below us, or maybe right here. Gonna be right up here. There we are in the blue tent, right above the normal Royals Live spot inside Rival Sports Bar. Joel and Jamie will be up here where we've been broadcasting the game today. enjoying the view, not necessarily enjoying the results, as the Cardinals are 1 inning away from sweeping the series here at Kauffman Stadium and making it a 5-1 advantage over the Royals in the I-70 series this year. Joakim Soria in the 9th will get Ankiel, Thurston, and Tyler Green. And Soria with a strikeout. Soria last pitch in the final game of the Arizona series, so he hasn't had many save opportunities, many Joakim Soria opportunities since coming off the disabled list, but still trying to find some spots where he can get some work and stay sharp.
Well, he definitely needs some work, Ryan, and that's the only way you're going to get your stamina back. And with him, it's all about control, and he needs to be on the mound to keep that going. But you know, as a player, you play a lot of games, and you always talk about winning the series all the time, but the one thing that players really hated to see was fans walking around with a broom in their hand when it's for the opposing team.
Close play, but the Royals get Thurston. Butler connects with Soria, 2 down in the 9th. Now this homestand got off to such a good start. The Royals sweeping the Cincinnati Reds and then winning the first game against Arizona. So winning the first 4, but now the Royals 3 outs away on offense from then losing the next 5. Hernandez backs up and makes the catch to retire Tyler Green. Quick inning for Soria. Royals coming up in the bottom of the 9th. Well, tough day for the Royals, down to their last 3 outs. And a new pitcher for St. Louis is right-hander Blake Hawksworth. First time the Royals have seen him. Cardinals' 28th round pick in 2001, although could have gone a lot higher. Scouts were convinced he was going to go to college. Cardinals took a chance in the 28th round and signed him. He is from Washington State, where he went to high school with former Royal Andrew Sisko. So Hawksworth replaces McClellan. And the Royals have Miguel Olivo scheduled to lead off, but it's going to be Brian Pena. So Pena, Hewlett, and Meyer here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Olivo 1 for 3 today with a single and a couple of strikeouts. Thurston over to the railing and makes the play. That's a tough play in the last 10 years because of the dugout suites. You have to figure out the right angle to get around that railing and get into the area up against the barrier wall. A lot of guys will give up on it too soon, go to the railing of the dugout suite and stop.
Well, that's true. Thurston did a good job of just looking down to make sure he knew where he was, and it made that play a lot easier than it really was. That might go back to his days of being a second baseman and being able to check his first baseman and always see where everybody's at.
One and one on Tug Hewlett. Tough luck day for him at the plate. Couple of lineouts and a strikeout, 0 for 3. Still alive, 1-2. Off day tomorrow for the Royals, and then late tomorrow afternoon we'll fly to Houston. The Cardinals fly to New York tonight. They begin a 4-game series with the Mets tomorrow. A couple of teams that are in the hunt. The Cardinals will be a game and a half in front of Milwaukee in the Central Division. Meanwhile, the Mets coming in today 2 games back of the Phillies in the East, so some important games at Citi Field. Ludwig with a sliding play in right field. Boy, that is just a bad luck day for Hewlett. That's the way it goes sometimes. You hit 3 balls hard, but right into the defense, and that is a tough luck 0 for 4.
That's a tough luck 0 for 4, but at least he knows he's on the ball and he's taking some good at bats. And I'll tell you that might warrant him getting another start here pretty soon, because he has squared the ball up 3 out of 4 times.
Meyer fouls the first pitch away. Struck out his first 2 times and then hit by a pitch in the 7th inning. On Tuesday in Houston, it's Zach Greinke for the Royals, Russ Ortiz for the Astros. 7:05 first pitch. Royals live at 6:30. And the Royals down to their last strike. Wainwright's win will be his 8th, and the Cardinals National League leading 31st win for a starter. The Cardinals sweep the series as Meyer flies out to right, and they win the 2009 I-70 series 5-1. The Cardinals come into the series in 2nd place. They leave in 1st place. And the Royals losing streak falls to 5 in a row. And now the Royals, over those 5 games, have been outscored 53-21.
Well, you got to swing the bat and score runs to win ball games, and it kind of goes back to starting pitching and being able to keep the opposition down and giving your offense a chance to get going. But early runs have always been a problem for the Royals. They did a good job again coming back today and getting them right back in the game. But basically the team didn't take that momentum and run with it.
Gilmesh takes a loss. He's 4-6. And Albert Pujols with a big series. 6 RBIs today, 2 home runs, a grand slam, 10 RBIs in the series. Cardinals win it. It's time for Boulevard Royals Live.
This is the Royals Live postgame show, presented by Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City's beer.
Welcome in to Boulevard Royals Live. 12-5 the final as the Cardinals sweep the series and win the I-70 series this year. 29 runs for the Cardinals over the weekend. And we're joined right now by Royals Hall of Famer and probably a very happy hitting coach as well, Hal McRae. I know anytime your offense can do that, you've got to be pretty happy. Let's talk about Pujols. I mean, he just destroys the Royals when he's here. Have you ever seen, been around, played with, or coached a guy like him?
Well, he's a tremendous hitter, a good person, a great competitor. He got good pitches to hit, and he put good swings on them. He's one of the better, probably the best hitter in baseball.
And then the rest of the guys around him, I'm sure he makes everybody better, but to see your team do what they did this weekend, just talk about all your hitters.
Well, we were in a drought for about 3 weeks, and we weren't taking good at-bats. We weren't scoring enough runs, so it's nice to see them go out and have good at-bats. Pujols is the staple of the lineup, but everybody has to chip in.
And finally, a chance, I know you get to come back here every year for interleague play, but to see your son Brian, to see your granddaughter, to see New Kauffman Stadium, how much fun of a trip beyond just baseball is this for you?
Well, it was a beautiful weekend. Saw Brian, saw Addison, saw the renovations of the new stadium. My wife was here, so it was a beautiful weekend.
All right, well, safe travels to New York. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, that is Hal McRae, Frank White's former teammate. Guys, let's head upstairs to you. I figured there were probably only one or two safe guys to talk to today. Pujols, we talked to him in the pregame show. I suppose a Royals Hall of Famer, that's not too bad.
That's right, Joel. And who would ever thought that Hal McRae would be happy when the Royals are swept and outscored the way they were, but now the hitting coach of the St. Louis Cardinals, and Hal, an excellent hitter himself and a good hitting coach, and he has some pupil to work with every day in Albert Pujols.
Well, Albert leads by example, and he makes the hitting coach's job easy because he doesn't have to do too much. He probably does a lot of his own study, and all Hal probably had to do was just tweak him here and tweak him there, but he's a good student of the game, and I think that really helps in everything that he does. You know, 28 career multi-home run games. I think that speaks for itself, and that's when teams are trying to pitch around him, and all he's doing is waiting for those guys to make a mistake. And in today's game, what I realized about Albert today was that he can foul off those tough pitches and force the pitcher to come back and have to make better pitches, and in the end, he wins because they make a mistake.
Really wasn't a factor at all when the Royals were in St. Louis last month. Didn't have a single RBI. He has 10 in this series, and that bottom note on that graphic there, 27 games at Kauffman Stadium, 12 home runs, and he hit 3 of them in this series. And it was just Royals had some choices with Albert Pujols. Other times they just had to pitch to him.
Well, with the bases loaded, you have to pitch to him, but you don't want to give him that intentional walk. You want to kind of pitch around him, try to get him to chase something. But I think Gil walked him a couple times, but he was able to flick his bat out there and just foul those pitches off and force Gil to have to come back and make good pitches. But this is not a big ballpark. This is not a home run hitter's ballpark. So you really have to center the ball here and to get it to go out of the ballpark.
If I recall my numbers correctly, the Royals in their 5-game losing streak have been outscored 53-21. It got off to such a great start this homestand, winning 4 in a row. And in fact, the 4th win was the shutout, Gil Mesh against the Arizona Diamondbacks, but now 5 in a row, and most of those games blowouts. Where the Royals go from here?
Well, they just got to keep coming out and playing. I mean, they got a long season ahead of them. The manager's got to believe in his players. You got to believe in what the players on the field. They just have to come together as a ball club. You know, what's been going on lately is that there was no pitching, and there was no hitting, and then there was no hitting and no pitching, and there was neither of both. I mean, so now they just got to bring those back. Go back to Gil Mash's start when he had the complete game. The defense was good. Everything else was flowing for the ball club. So they just got to bring those phases back together. Right now, they are scoring runs. They're scoring runs late. You know, five runs is a lot of runs in a ball game, but they got to seize opportunity. You know, they got down by 2, then they came back and went ahead by 1. Now the pitching's got to settle down and then give the offense a chance to get better in the game.
Believe it or not, it was a close game through the early innings, but the big inning for the Cardinals really put the Royals away. That was that 8-run 4th inning when they batted 13. A lot of shaking hands on the field at Kauffman Stadium for the Cardinals this weekend. They sweep the series. Joel and Jamie are back right after this.